Welcome back to Wrestling Renaissance. My name is TJ Leo,
And I am Cole 2K.
and this is the WWE Summerslam 2024 results episode. For those of you who didn't join us for our first episode, our predictions episode for SummerSlam 2024, before every WWE PLE and before every AEW pay-per-view, we'll be talking about the build-up to the shows, make our official predictions for who's going to win, and after each WWE PLE, like today, and AEW pay-per-view, we'll be breaking down the results, seeing how we fared in our predictions, and rating each match on the Co-op Entertainment review scale of 1 to 10. So for this episode, SummerSlam 2024 was this past Saturday. Last week, we made our predictions for the show, and now it's time to talk about how we did, the results of the show, etc., so on and so forth. At the top of this, before we go into the individual matches and the individual card and all that kind of stuff, overall, what did you think of SummerSlam from a top level view? Was it a good show, a great show? What do you think?
I think from top level, to me it was a really great show. There were things about it that not really issues I had across the board, but things that kind of took away from it a little bit. We can go into it with each match. Don't want to give it all away too much, but overall, it was a really great episode. Things that we expected, maybe a couple things we didn't, but it was a really good show. I was impressed by it.
It was super entertaining. I was tweeting out and I had the live stream going, and about 20 minutes in, I was like, you know what? This is so good. I don't really want to tweet right now. I don't really want to do a live stream. I just want to enjoy it. I participated, I think, a little bit in the Wrestling Nation Zone chat, but for the most part, I was just watching it and enjoying it.
Yeah.
So it was a good show. But let's get into the specifics. So the pay-per-view, I'm going to say pay-per-view, the PLE kicked off with
I know what you mean.
The pay-per-view / PLE kicked off with the Women's World Championship with Liv Morgan defending against Rhea Ripley. The first thing I want to point out was the ref cam. Where the heck? What was the thought process behind giving the refs this giant? I don't even know what to call it. It's like a Bluetooth headset.
I don't know.
Up their ear. I don't know if maybe it was just a one-night experiment. Yeah, it was fine. I think I'm hoping that it was just like an experiment to see if it was worthwhile, and it just wasn't. There was only one point on the show that I thought it gave a good shot, but I'll go into that when we get to that point. But yeah, I just thought it was something to note off the top because they were pointing it out specifically. They were like, "Hey, he's got the camera on his ear. Cool." So yes, Liv versus Rhea. So I have a few notes for this match before we even get into the match itself. Rhea's outfit, amazing.
Always.
Fantastic. She's got some good gear, man.
She does.
The other thing I want to note that I have a little note here from is with Liv Morgan's heel turn, I think she needs a new theme. I don't like her watch me. Dance theme.
I've never been that huge of a Liv Morgan fan, so I can do without the theme.
Yeah, I'm becoming a fan. That's for sure. She's definitely striking me as a better heel than she is a face. Yeah. But yeah, I think she needs a new theme song. What'd you think of the match itself, or was there anything else you wanted to point out before the match?
As far as the match, no. Nothing else I wanted to point out before the match. As far as the match itself, not that it was predictable. Rhea looked really strong coming back from her injury. The whole shoulder popping out and her popping it back in. I think that added a lot of credibility to Liv's offense because just going into it, there is no match physically between the two.
Yeah,
without that injury angle going into it, and in the match itself, there was no believability to me with Liv being able to go pound for pound and blow for blow with Rhea. So I think that
100% agree.
that little injury story inside the match made it a little bit better for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I'm a fan of it happening twice in the match. I think that was a little bit of overkill.
Yeah,
But the first time it happened, I was like, "Oh, that's really cool." And Pat McAfee popped huge for that too. They showed like I love how they have the commentary cam. So they have a camera set up in the desk
yeah,
that shoots Pat and Corey and Cole, and the the reaction that they gave when she slammed herself against the
yeah,
commentary desk was awesome. Corey Graves was like, "What the heck did she? What
yeah,
did she just do?" And then she, pops it back in. That was a really cool moment. But the second time, I was like, mm, "Okay, a
yeah.
little overdone." But yeah, I thought it was a really good match for what it was. I wasn't expecting it to be anything other than really like a wait for Dom to do something match.
Yeah, pretty
But they
much.
ended up
Yeah, whether it
doing,
was
yeah, whether it was to side with Rhea, accidentally screw somebody, whatever it
yeah,
ended up being, right? It's like that was the story of the match. But they sort of convinced me, or at least like pulled off me having interest in the actual match itself, which is, props to them. I that very rarely happens to me when I'm like, okay, this match isn't about the match; it's about the drama behind it and this third party. But the actual match was really good for a Liv Morgan tiny girl match versus Rhea Ripley, the Beast,
yep.
whatever her nickname is now, Eradicator. Terrible name.
Well, maybe it is now. I don't know because she was the eradicator of the Judgment Day, and she's not in the Judgment Day anymore. So
Yeah, yeah. Maybe she's gonna
we'll,
get a new nickname. But obviously, the story here was Dominic. Dominic teased several times during the match who he was helping, and it seemed like he was on Rhea's side, but it really wasn't. And at the end of it, he took a chair away from Rhea, which technically was saving her from losing, her chance at the title. But then he helped Liv Morgan use the chair itself against
yes,
Rhea. So Dom is officially a Liv Morgan boy toy, I
I
guess.
you could say he's a victim of Stockholm syndrome, maybe, or I don't know.
Yeah,
He's officially groomed by Liv. I don't know. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know.
The heat that those two got when he turned, and the
Yep.
turn was kind of screwed up because the camera caught his smirk as he was leaving the ring. But then after the replays and everything, he picks up Liv Morgan and they smooch, and the crowd
Yep.
just, oh, the heat, oh, the heat. It
Yes.
was seething. It
Yep.
was really good, man. I don't know. Dom is just a heat magnet, man, and
He is.
for the first little while, I was like, is this X Pac heat? Is this go away heat? But it's not. It's we hate you heat. It's good heat.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's fantastic. He's doing a great job.
he is. That's not what I would have expected. What 4 years ago when he came out and with Ray
Yeah,
and they won
very
the tag
green looking.
titles.
Yep.
Yes.
And who would have thought he would have made a 10 times better heel, than a
Yes.
face?
Yeah.
Crazy. So as far as our predictions go, we both had Liv Morgan. I had 6 points. You had 3, so we both won on that one. And I only had one other note that I kind of. It was early on in the show, so I wasn't really concerned about it at first. But as the show went on, it became more concerning. There was a lot of empty seats at that stadium, especially in like the upper bowl, whatever you want to
Yep.
call that, the upper
I
decks.
did see a couple shots where, like way up in the upper deck, they had sections cordoned off, which is fine.
Yeah,
I mean, they still did what 50 something thousand, and it's technically
yeah,
not their biggest
not the
PLE of the
biggest pay
year.
per view.
So
Yeah, I bet a lot of people regret not going though. For those that
yeah,
that didn't go. because it was a great show. But yeah, great opening match. I could totally see. I mean, Rhea is so over at this point. She could face men,
She could.
and no one would bat an eye. They'd be like, "Oh yeah, Rhea versus Finn Balor. I can see it." I'm 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 hoping they do go that route because I can't remember if it was you I was talking to or someone else on the Wrestling Nation Zone, but I was like, if China could face men, there's absolutely no reason that Rhea can't.
I mean, she could realistically run her way through the new Judgment Day to get to
Yeah,
Live. I mean, you think who's
yeah,
there? There's JD, there's Carlito, there's Finn, Dom. I mean,
yeah,
she could
yeah,
roll through
yeah.
all four of those to get to Live.
Yeah, I'm definitely assuming that we're gonna get a mixed tag match at the next PLE probably, or maybe the one after it.
Yeah.
Not sure how that would specifically, you know, work because on one side you've got um, Damien and Rhea, but on the other side you've got Finn and Damien, but you've also got Dom and Rhea, and you've also got Liv Morgan and Rhea. So like, I don't know how you
Yeah.
would go about doing that.
They
I'm
do
sure they have a
2-on-3.
plan. Yeah, they could do that. Yeah,
Yeah,
that would make sense from a heel standpoint for sure.
it would.
All right. So that's the first match. The second match was a relatively short one. This was the Intercontinental Championship. Sami Zayn defending against Braun Strowman. You
Breaker.
had made a prediction that it was going to be a decisive match. And while I wouldn't say it was a squash match, Sami Zayn definitely put up a fight. It was like 4 minutes, 5 minutes long. It was not a
Yeah.
long match.
I mean, I do think it was a little bit longer, but I mean, Sammy got a little offense in, but Braun, you did say Strowman, but it obviously Braun
Oh,
Breaker.
shoot. That's my bad. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he won in the end in convincing fashion, which it just makes him look that much more legit to me.
Yeah, I think he's going to have a good long run with the Intercontinental Championship. I'm trying to. This was the only match where I really was like I could have taken it or leaving it. I could have took it or left it because it was fine. It served its purpose. Yeah, I wouldn't say it was like super entertaining or anything like that. It was fine. There was a couple of good moves in there, but most of them we've already seen from Braun, like the Breakensteiner. I think Pat has named it.
He's coined. That's what he's coined it. Nice.
Yeah. What do you want? Good lord. Hey, what do you want? Dante wants to say hi, of course, because I'm doing a podcast. That's just what he does.
Of course.
But yeah, it served its purpose, and that's pretty much all it did for me. This is the only match on the card where I don't know where they're going with either of these characters as far as like the next story goes. Like, where does Sammy go from here? Braun's just going to defend it against a list of people over the next 6 months
Yes.
to a year. But what's Sammy going to do? I don't know. I mean, I do know now because we saw Raw, but I guess he's post Raw. I guess he's moving on to the tag team championship with Jay. Very strange. That seems like moving backwards to me for Sammy and for Jay.
And for Jay, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what that's about.
I think with Jay, it's just keeping him on TV until it's time to flip the switch and put him in the bloodline.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I think Sammy's probably going to get lost in the shuffle. But, only so much room on the card.
Yep. Probably
so that was that
same
match.
With him. They'll probably kind of keep him in a holding pattern until it's time to put him in something relevant too.
Something new. Yeah. So for the predictions, we both had Braun Breaker. I had Braun for 3 points, and you had Braun for 4 points. So we both got points on that one. Next up was the United States Championship, Logan Paul versus LA Knight. And this one was really good. The only kind of weird part about it was Logan's guest. Out of
Yeah.
all the people that I would have guessed it could have been, MGK was not on that list.
No, not on that list for me either. I don't
And I
know.
don't think he participated in the match, from what I remember.
He didn't participate in the match, but Knight did pull either one or two of the people that was with him over the
Right.
barricade,
That's true. I do. I remember that point. Yeah.
which
That's
I
a good
kind of
point.
mentioned, that should have been a disqualification or something.
I don't think they've ever
But
disqualified someone for you know being the instigator
yeah,
when they're involved in the match. If they had have attacked him, then a DQ. But yeah, the match was fantastic. Some awesome high flying moments and counters. At Logan Paul's. I think we've talked about this before, but Logan Paul's just crazy good and should not be as good as he is in the ring for being a part timer. It's crazy.
think of him whatever you want as a person outside the ring, but he's definitely, if he wasn't as impressive as he is in the ring, we would talk about him a lot different.
If he wasn't that impressive in the ring, there's no way that WWE would have let him be this much of a focus. That's for sure.
Yep.
That's why you don't see Bad Bunny. That's why you
Right.
don't see whoever else came before him. So he's definitely not your typical celebrity. But yeah, that match was maybe my favorite of the night. It was just so good and so unexpectedly good. Like LA Knight's a fine wrestler. I would never put him in the upper, echelon of current great match people. He has solid matches, but he does his thing.
He's
But he
solid,
pulled off
and
some. Yeah, he's solid. Exactly. He's right there.
you know what
But
he's
he had some crazy
you know
moves
what
on
you're
this
going to get
match.
with him, and he's just solid. He's consistent.
Yeah, but he pulled off some great stuff on this match too. Oh, one thing else I wanted to note was Logan Paul finally had decent gear that wasn't atrociously ugly.
I mean, if you
Logan
don't
Paul's,
call Cleveland Brown colors ugly,
I mean, but he normally wears that like yellow and blue.
yeah, yeah.
Is that the Cleveland Browns?
No, no, the Cleveland Browns is the brown and the brown
Oh, the
colors that
one
he
he wore
wore.
at the show.
Yeah,
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The yellow and blue is just like, what are you thinking?
yeah.
What are you thinking, man? Unless maybe it's a tribute to Wolverine.
No, I don't know.
It's the only connection I can see with yellow and blue.
Yeah,
But yeah, what else we got here? Yeah, that's all I really had on it. Nothing else. It was just a great match.
yep.
Oh, we haven't rated the matches as we've been going along here. So on our 1 to 10 scale, what would you give the Liv Rhea match?
I'd give that one a solid 8.
Yeah,
Yep. You got the interference at the end, which was expected. Um, so I give that one an 8.
I'm gonna go with a 7. It was
Okay.
good. I was going into it expecting a 5, where it was just like, yeah, it was fine, but came out of it, thought it was good. It was a good match.
Yep.
Sammy versus Braun.
For what it was, I give it a 7.
Okay.
It was a showcase for Braun to
Hmm.
show that he's a star, or that he will be a star.
Yeah.
I mean, the match itself, technically, it wasn't that great. It was kind of short. They didn't do a whole lot telling a story, but for what it was, to crown Braun, it was really good.
Yeah. It was a dominant
I give that one a
performance.
7. Yep.
Yeah. I give it a 6. It was above average. It was a slightly stretched out squash match. So it did its job. Logan versus LA Knight. Yeah. I
Uh,
gotta do that every time.
Sid, no, we'll go 7. It had the athletic high spots. The moments that you might remember. The twist, not the twisting moonsault, but where he jumps up to the top rope, spins, and then does a moonsault. Um,
Yep.
you know, Knight almost dropping him on his head from the top rope to do a suplex.
Yes.
That's going to have a couple moments that you remember.
Yeah.
So that's, so I give that one a 7.
I give it an 8. I thought it was great. I thought it was potentially match of the night. We'll see as we go through if anything beats it. But yeah, I give it an 8. It was my favorite match up until that point for sure.
Yep.
And as far as the predictions go, I had LA Knight, you had Logan Paul, so I won 2 points on that match. Number 4 was I think I have these out of order, but was it Bailey versus Nia was the next match?
Yes, that was Bailey versus Nia.
Okay. So this one surprised me as well. I thought that it was a much better match than I was anticipating. I think I've said it before, but I am not a Nia Jax fan. I think she's given way too much credit. I think she's not good in the ring. She makes mistakes constant. Maybe not mistakes, but just she doesn't protect her opponent. You can tell she's just stiff, and not in a good way, not in a Sheamus way, not in a Gunther way, but in a just like that's not a professional way, you know. But I thought this match was really good. I thought they pulled it off.
They did all right. I mean, it was, Nia's, I guess, a little bit more limited is what her repertoire is. She's basically just power and pick you up and hit you. And, um, there's not a whole lot of people that can match just that. I think Bailey did really good to keep up with her and tried to match her style as best she could. And it made for a good match, really good match.
Yeah, absolutely. Highlight of the match was definitely Bailey doing a walking power bomb.
Yep. She
On
didn't have to
Nia.
lift her all the way up, but
No,
she held her
she
up,
walked with her on
took a
her
few
shoulders.
steps.
It's crazy. Got a
Yep.
good pop from the crowd. So this one, Nia wins after a distraction by Tiffy, who tried to come out and cash in, but Bailey stopped her. And Nia took advantage. And what is her finisher? Does she have a name for the finisher? The sit down? It's like the
She
Yokozuna.
does. That is, I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
If I can look it
But
up real
yeah,
quick.
she did it
It's,
twice and
yeah.
pinned her.
Well, the first time she did it, Bailey kicked out of it, and then at the end, she did it 2 times to end it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's how she ended it. And then I think Tiffy and Nia celebrated in the ring afterwards. So we have a new.
The Annihilator is what it's called.
Wow, most generic name
Yes.
ever. Brutal. You're sitting on them, and that's how you annihilate. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Just makes me not like her even more. She has go away heat for me. I'm not a fan. But I will say like that she did well in this match and it surprised me. So I'll give her credit there. As far as our predictions, we both had Nia Jax. I had it for 5 points. You had it for 1 point. So we both got points on that one. Next match.
As far as your rating, what did you have for a rating for that?
Oh, snap. Good call.
5. I'm there with you too.
Yeah.
Kind of expected.
I was expecting 3 or 4 was what I was expecting. It's Nia Jax.
As was expected, and nothing really special out of that.
No. If it wasn't for the powerbomb type move and kind of just the overall decent flow of the match, it probably would have got lower, but for what it was,
Yep.
They pulled
Served
it out.
its purpose.
Yeah. This is another one where I'm like, where does Bailey go?
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to do a rematch, but very, very. And where does the relationship between Tiffany and Nia go? She's now the champion, and her friend is the Money in the Bank holder.
I mean, they kind of played it off to where Tiffany wasn't going to cash in; she was just going to use it as a distraction. I think they might play up that for a while until Tiffany actually really does.
Turns face, technically.
And turns, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, next match up was Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk with Seth Rollins as the special guest referee. I didn't notice this at first, but the outfits that they chose mimicked a classic match between Bret Hart, Undertaker, and Shawn Michaels as a special guest referee. I don't know what pay-per-view it was at, but they dressed similarly
Yes.
with Seth kind of looking like Shawn Michaels in his ref with no sleeves
Yep.
look, and then Punk had the pink and black gear, and
Drew had the long trench coat and the hands,
yeah, Drew came out with sort of
glove
an
looking things. Yeah.
Undertaker-esque. Yeah, so that was pretty cool. One thing I want to say about this is, what are they? Why? What? Okay, I'm really frustrated by this. What is WWE's problem with not giving Drew Broken Dreams back? Everybody wants it.
I
He
know.
wants it. He's gone on record as saying, "I want to use it,"
I
and they
had the
won't use it.
idea during Drew's entrance that Punk should have come out to Broken Dreams.
Oh, that would have been
Just to
sick.
troll him. Just to troll
Yeah.
Drew.
Oh, that would have been so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if there's like I think they own that song, don't they? It's not like
I would think so. I don't
think it's a
know. I
third
don't know who owns it.
party. Yeah, I don't think it's a licensed song. It is a band that does it, I think, but it's not. Yeah, it's very. I don't know what the problem is. That theme is so much better than his generic bagpipes one. Yeah, crazy. It boggled my mind how they didn't use it when they were in Glasgow. I
Yeah.
was like, really? You're in his hometown and you won't even give it to him then? Frustrating. One other thing I want to note before we get into the match itself is commentary was on fire tonight. they
were.
had some banger comments. They
They did.
compared and I think it was Corey Graves compared CM Punk to John Wick because Drew was messing with his
Talking
dog.
about the family and the dog.
So good. And Pat McAfee called Dom a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Literally said a piece of shit. So good. Oh, and someone, I think it was Cole, referred to Seth as Beetlejuice when he came out in his gear. Just they were on point, man. It was so good. That team, that right there, that triple team. I wish they could do all of the shows. Just do all of them.
Would be nice.
I'm not norm. Yeah, I'm not a norm. Like normally, I'm not a fan of the 3-man team. I think there's too much overlap. But they nail it, man. They're so good. Enough about the commentators, though. The actual match itself. What'd you think?
I thought it was good. I mean, they obviously told the story of the bracelet, the importance of the bracelet. It ultimately cost Punk the match. A lot of people say, well, it's just a bracelet. It's just a bracelet. Well, it's a metaphor for.
It's what it means to him.
It's what it means. It's taking your eye off the importance of what it is, of the match and beating Drew. It was. I thought it was really good. You can definitely see where they're going to go from here. Not that there wasn't a whole lot of moves and holds. It was a lot of fighting. As soon as the bell rang, they just went and just started throwing punches at each other. They didn't try step over toe holds, Irish whips, anything like that. It was fighting. They could have done some blood, or they could have done a little bit more with, a no DQ aspect. But I think, Rollins did good letting them do whatever they wanted outside. Tying him into the story of, turning around, just letting them beat the snot out of each other and laughing, watching them doing it. But with
I loved all of the Seth Rollins mannerisms and all the responses that he was given. He was playing his role perfectly, very entertaining. And he was playing his role as a face really well too, and like he was unbiased. You know,
Yep.
when at one point Punk got the bracelet off of Drew's arm, but then he got rocked by Drew, so Seth picked it up because he's the ref, and he
Yep.
wore it just to make sure that it didn't get lost. And Punk had Drew basically ready for the win. He looks over at Seth and sees he's wearing the bracelet, and he thinks Seth's
And
messing
he
with
just
him, but
flips out.
and flips out, and that costs him the match. And Seth's
Yep.
like, "No, I was just keeping it safe for you. You know,
Yeah.
I was keeping it." So like all that was played up very well. Uh, yeah, it was a great storytelling match. These guys, I don't know, man. I'm not gonna listen. Triple H, Undertaker, and Shawn Michaels are three of the best of all time. Two of them are some of my favorites of all time. One of them probably is my favorite of all time. But these guys they really mimic those three guys in the
Oh
modern
yeah.
era, you know? And it was great. It was like watching the end of an era match with Taker and Michaels and Triple H, where it was
Yep.
just a beautiful story being told in the match itself. Everyone played their role well. It was believable. You know, nothing felt forced. It was great. It was fantastic. Was it the most technical match of the night? No.
No.
Was it the longest match of the night? No. But was it entertaining? Did it tell a story? Did it serve its purpose? Absolutely. And Drew picked up the win. He finally got something on him.
He finally did it.
Finally did it. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I had to rewatch it though, because everything was against me seeing this match when it was on live. The feed cut out
Oh.
like 2 minutes in, and then I got it back, and then the audio cut out, and then 5 minutes later, my sister showed up announcing her engagement. So I was like, "Yeah, the world just doesn't want me to see this match."
No.
I had to go rewatch it during, like, in the replay. But yeah, I thought it was great. So Drew picks up the win. As far as our predictions go, we both had Drew. I had it for 1 point. You had it for 6. This really made up ground for you during the show. But we both picked up points there. Scale of 1 to 10.
I go 9 on that one. It was a really great first match between these two. You kind of had an idea going in that the story wasn't going to be finished, however it played out. And I think they did a really good job of making that believable, that, or not
Mhm.
necessarily making it believable, but giving that one a good finish, knowing that it's not going to be the end of it.
Mhm. Yeah, I give it an 8. I think it was just as good, just as entertaining for me as the Logan Paul LA Knight match, just for different reasons. Also, we didn't point out that at the end of the match, Drew took the bracelet again,
Yep.
which I thought was
He,
awesome.
yep. Which at
Just
this point is exactly where it needs to be.
yeah, keeping that heel heat and continuing on. The post match stuff on Raw was kind of weird. So the CM Punk Drew story is clearly continuing. Drew taunted him with the bracelet. Punk chased after him, and we didn't see them for the rest of the night. But initially, Seth came out super pissed off at the way CM Punk had treated him during the match, and they were about to fight when Drew came out and interrupted them. But then Bronson Reed comes out of nowhere and obliterates Seth Rollins. So it seems like, at least for the time being, that Rollins is being sidetracked with a feud with Reed and leaving CM Punk and Drew McIntyre to finish their story. No pun intended. Just the two of them, which I thought was kind of random.
It
I thought
is.
I thought they were going to do like a triple threat between the three of them eventually. Maybe they still will, but it seems like they want to give Punk and Drew some breathing room to just have it between them for now.
Yeah, I mean, having Seth now go to be within a program with Bronson Reed kind of makes me wonder why have him as a special referee to begin with? If the
You were just
next
gonna
night you're
take him
going to
out.
break him off from the program. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, maybe
I
they're
don't
saving
understand that.
maybe they're saving Rollins and Punk for WrestleMania. For
Yeah.
for a
That makes
WrestleMania story. I don't know.
that makes total sense to me. Yeah. The other thing that I think about with that is that CM Punk's made it very clear that his goal upon returning to WWE is to main event WrestleMania because it's not something he ever got to do.
Now,
Maybe
supposedly, he
they're
says that's not as important as it used to be because he's
mm,
grown up and matured. But
yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, they could do it for the world title, but we'll talk about that in the next match, which
Yes.
was Damian Priest defending his World Heavyweight Championship against Gunther.
Gunther.
Let's see, what are my notes for this one? So, yeah, so this was I kind of compare it to Gunther's matches with Drew and Sheamus. It was really hard hitting, lots of good chops. Uh, Gunther's chest bled for most of the match after the chop fest
Yep.
that they had.
Yep. I don't know if
And
that
I'm
was
not
from a
talking.
boot, because
Yeah,
Priest hit him with some really hard-looking kicks.
he had like a gash in his chest that just
Yeah.
kept bled for the whole match. It was crazy. I don't. Maybe his nail caught him or something on a chop. I have no idea.
Something.
But there was like a hole in his chest. It was crazy. Great match, back and forth. Uh, they really made Damian Priest look strong against Gunther.
Yep.
But in the end, Finn Balor comes out,
Hmm.
puts Gunther's foot on the rope to screw over Damian, and Gunther takes advantage of Priest's reaction of wanting to get a hold of Finn, and we have a new World Heavyweight Champion, Gunther.
Yep.
Thought it was a great match. I really enjoyed it. I I I really really liked Damien's sell job when he got screwed. He
Yes.
looked pissed.
Yep. And then
He
that
looked
little
pissed.
when he kind of hulked out of that choke.
Yeah, and he
When Gunther was choking him out, and he just went straight for Finn.
straight from
Because
and got him by the throat and had this
yep.
just like I'm gonna kill you look on his face. Excellent stuff. And then that cost
Yep.
him the match. He's like, "You
That
got
cost him
out,
the
man. You could
match.
have won still."
Yeah.
And then he let his emotions distract him, just like CM Punk.
Yep.
But told a great story. It still made Damian look strong, but it also made Gunther look like the beast he is. Everything served its purpose. This was one of the matches where our predictions kind of went two different ways, and I by the end of the prediction show, I was basically in agreeing with you that I think Damian was going to overcome and maybe lose it later. But it looks like they're going full blown Judgment Day reform with Damian and Rhea out of it at this point. So,
Yep.
so as
I
far
mean,
as
I
the
saw.
predictions go, oh yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I had seen Priest winning, and then them having a rematch in Berlin for Gunther to win that.
Yeah,
Because thinking if Gunther won, who would he go against? I had no idea that they would have planned on doing what they did last night on Raw, which was
mm,
insert Randy Orton from SmackDown.
yeah, it makes sense story wise. I didn't really
Sure, it
think about
does.
it, but they're taking advantage of a botch that happened at
Yep.
King
That
of the
was
Ring.
King of the Ring. Yeah.
Yeah, so Randy's like, "You never pinned me, so I
Yep.
think I deserve a shot at that." So yeah, it makes sense, but I never would have thought of that. I didn't think that they would acknowledge that. Just like the way they didn't really acknowledge story wise that Damien should have lost his title at Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
So they're picking and choosing their battles, it seems. But as far as the predictions go, I had Gunther, got 4 points. You had Damien, no points there. As far as the match rating goes, what do you think?
7. By this time, I was tired of the shenanigans, the outside interference.
A lot in this for
I
sure.
mean, Drew, not that the Drew and Punk didn't have outside interference because the special referee was kind of interference in itself. But this was what, one, two, three, four, fifth match out of six that had
Interference
participant
of some kind.
that had interference or people that were not in the match involved in aspects of the match.
Yeah.
The only one that
Literally only
hadn't
one match on
was
the whole
yeah.
card that was
It's
clean.
yeah. It's I mean it's like a Raw with it's just like an episode of Raw where every match has a whether it's a disqualification or outside
Screw job.
interference. It's
Yeah.
yeah.
But at
And
least none of the matches were actually, ended on a disqualification. Because that's
right.
that was the Vince way of, getting out of crappy writing
Yeah,
was
it
was
was.
do a disqualification at a pay-per-view, which was always that pissed fans off every single time. Yeah. So at least that didn't happen. I'm glad that they
Yep.
had actual, like, and all of the screw jobs thus far have really paid off. So
Yeah.
it was
And
really
but
cool.
that's why I gave that one a 7 instead of an 8 or maybe even a 9 just
I
cuz I
actually
was
agree with you on that. I give it a
at
7
that
as well.
point.
I think it was good. Damien is good in the ring. I don't think he's great though. He's still got this, like, I don't know how to describe it. Um, I I'm hesitant to call it greenness because I don't think it's greenness, but the intensity that he had on his face when he got screwed over by Finn, I didn't feel that in the match itself. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't
Yeah.
feeling like he was fighting for his life. I think he could do better on that front, but he's a young world heavyweight champion. Like, he
How
really
old
hasn't been
he's
around that long. I don't know, how old
Priest?
is
No,
this
I
man?
mean he's 40.
Really?
40 something. Yeah.
How old is Damien? He's 41. He's older than Roman
Yeah.
Reigns.
Yeah. I mean he toiled around in Ring of Honor for a long time.
That's crazy. Okay, well, yeah, I don't know what it is about Damien. I love him. I support him. I think he was a great champion. I think he's a great role model for, the company and for fans.
Yep.
There's always just been something odd about him in the ring that hasn't clicked, but he's definitely doing great.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with the 7 on that one. All right, let's move on to the main event, which was Cody Rhodes defending his WWE Championship versus Solo Sikoa in a Bloodline Rules match. This is something we didn't cover on our prediction show because they changed that on SmackDown, and we had recorded before SmackDown. Didn't we agreed afterwards that it really wouldn't have changed our prediction anyway? We both had Cody winning, uh,
I think
both for 7 points as well.
for me, I think or for me, it did just further cemented my prediction that Cody wasn't going to lose the
Yeah.
title.
So I have some notes for this match. So the pre-match build-up for the match was bonkers. I don't know whether they were a little afraid that people were not taking this match seriously or uh, seriously, so they had to put some more effort into the presentation. But the pre-match build-up was long. They had a huge video package, and you need to be quiet. Hey, that's enough. Good Lord, she's just meowing like crazy. Arn Anderson showed up, and I think he's been in AEW for years.
He was, yeah, he was for a long
So
time.
yeah. So that was kind of a surprise. It wasn't shocking to me because I knew he had left
Yep.
AEW, so I thought it was just a matter of time before he
Yeah.
was
Oh
back.
yeah. For sure.
But they had a cool little moment backstage. Cody was walking his dog. I I I had no idea what that was about until afterwards. I guess he was having to put his dog down. Is the story behind that?
I think he's just getting old and he can't really be on the road too much
Oh,
anymore.
okay. So he has to stay at
So
home now.
he's got to stay at
So
home now.
it was his last hurrah. Yeah,
It
I
was
think
his
they could
last
have done a
tour.
better way of explaining that because I took it as, oh, the dog's being put down like tomorrow, and this is like a goodbye. But yeah, he had that. He talked to Arn Anderson. Arn Anderson said, "Don't worry, I've talked to the locker room, and you still have friends."
Now, did you notice what he did though when he said "You've got friends" and then put a
Yeah.
one up there,
Yeah, he put a one.
and then friends that you do know about? So that kind of teased the two, Kevin Owens and Randy Orton coming back.
Yeah. So there was a lot to the pre-show. Solo Sikoa must have been out there for like 10, 12 minutes sitting waiting. Like,
Yeah,
it was a long time.
and he had gone out by himself too, so he didn't
Yeah.
have the Tongas and
He
Fatu
was just
with him.
chilling. Yeah.
Yep,
Probably had a nap while he was out there. The match itself was okay.
yeah.
I think we both agree that Solo Sikoa he's fine in the ring. He's nothing to
He's
write home
good.
about. He's good.
He's
He doesn't
good.
stand out. I think people are a little bit too hard on him for the way that he's, done this storyline and stepped up to the plate. I think he's done a better job than people are giving him credit for.
I
But
think
I
so too.
also, yeah, but I think we both agree that there was no chance of him winning this match. So it was more about the aftermatch or how he was going to lose. So the
Or it
match
was all
itself was
about
okay.
who was going to come in afterwards. Is more
Exactly. And I think
what it
most
was about.
people were assuming that we were going to get some combination of the Usos, Rock or Roman, and Paul Heyman. And what we got was weird. And there are varying reports about this having to been changed on the fly. I don't know what the actual truth is because it's really tough to tell. But I think it did get changed on the fly. Essentially, what did happen, and I'll go into why I think something went wrong, was Solo and Cody fought until a certain point where Solo was about to lose, and then Tama Tonga and Tongaloa came out and started beating the crap out of Cody. Boom, KO comes out, Kevin Owens. Didn't expect that. Thought he was on the sidelines from the beatdown that he had, but apparently he's okay.
No
So he
selling a
started,
neck injury that knocked him out.
yeah, very strange.
Yep.
He starts, fighting against Tamatanga and Tongaloa. Kind of starts getting on the back, on the back foot on that. So Randy Orton comes out and helps KO. Why they didn't come out at the same time? A little weird.
Got to each have their own entrances. Pal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was entirely for the show. Exactly.
Got to play
But
the
yeah,
music. Pal.
yeah, exactly. So they fight off the Tonga brothers. I'm just going to call them that for now. They chase him out of the arena, and we don't see all four of those guys. And then Cody and Solo fight for a little bit more, and then Jacob Fatu comes out and absolutely destroys Cody. Appears to hurt his leg on the table spot, but most people are assuming that it's at work. And then Solo drags Cody in the ring, tries to pin him. He doesn't pin him. Cody does a Cody cutter onto Solo, and they both lay there for 10 seconds, and then everyone's confused as a somewhat new music theme hits.
Yeah.
And everyone looks at the Titantron, and it says head of the table. And out comes Roman Reigns wearing a OTC shirt.
To a monstrous pop.
To a monster pop.
Monster.
Absolutely huge pop. As it turns out, the theme song that was being played was his WrestleMania 40 theme song, his orchestrated theme, which I guess is now his face theme.
I don't know.
I like it. I like that theme. It's really good. And I can see why they wanted to change, from his original one. His original one's obviously one of the best theme songs in history, in my opinion. But it doesn't fit it. It doesn't fit a face, I don't think.
Guess.
Because it's slower and plotting. And I think they probably wanted to speed up his entrance a little bit too. Because his entrance is
they need
long.
to. It is
Yeah.
long.
It is a long entrance, but he's not the champion anymore, so that makes sense. Let's speed it up a bit. He doesn't have to have a 15-minute intro.
And then
But
they
anyway,
don't
Roman
just
comes
need
out.
to sit there and watch him walk to the ring
Yeah,
for 5 minutes either. when they're supposed to be
Exactly.
having a fight. Yeah.
Exactly. So Roman marches out, and the crowd's going absolutely berserko. He immediately gets in the ring. Superman punches Solo Sikoa. Doesn't even give us a chance to think about who he's gonna uh, attack. And then gives the biggest crowd ooh I've ever
Yep.
heard ever in the history of Roman Reigns. Man, that was
This is
deafening. I can't imagine what that sounded live.
that's the first time he's ever done it when everybody's cheered for him.
Oh yeah. That was a moment, man. That must have felt good for him too. Just being like, I've been acknowledged, you know?
Yeah. He's finally acknowledged.
He goes out there, he spears Solo Sikoa, hops out of the ring. Solo lays there for a bit. Cody wakes up, gives him a gives Roman a look like, okay, am I good? Can I go? Can I go finish him? Goes and finishes him with a crossroads while staring a hole in Roman's face,
And
and
he
Roman's starting
only
back.
did one.
I'm
He
the
only
only
did
one.
one crossroads.
Yeah. But I mean, it was believable that Solo would be pinned
Oh yeah,
after receiving a Superman punch and then a spear from Roman Reigns and then a crossroads. So,
yeah.
it was believable even if it took a little time.
But I mean,
And
even at WrestleMania, he gave Roman 3 after all that
yeah,
interference. He gave
yeah,
Roman 3, but Solo only needed 1.
only needed one.
Yep.
Yeah, they put Roman on a pedestal for sure with having to take 3 F5 or like 6 F5s at one point, I think, with the Lesnar matches. So makes sense. But yeah, Cody wins. Cody retains. We both got our 7 points on that one. And it was a good match, very entertaining. But the confusing part that I'm still kind of lost on, and maybe we'll get an explanation for it on SmackDown, is Jacob actually hurt? People have been analyzing the video of him doing the table spot, and to me it's I've watched all of them and it seems inconclusive as to whether or not it's real or not. He's wearing a boot apparently now, but it didn't look like a foot injury. It looked like a knee injury to me. So
See,
I'm
to
not
me, it
sure if
looked
it's a
like
work.
a lower leg, whether it was
Lower leg.
almost, there was a couple angles where it almost looked like a Sid injury, where his lower leg
Yeah.
bent in half.
Yeah.
Um, and it looked like he was holding his ankle. But thing is, I like not knowing.
Yeah.
I love
I'm
not
sure
knowing.
we'll find out on SmackDown, but yeah, it was very interesting. But the reason I think it was legit was because Roman came out at a very weird time. He didn't come
Yeah,
out when Solo was dominating. He didn't come out to stop anything in particular. Both of them were down, sitting in the ring, and Roman's music just pops up. So that kind of tells me, at least, that I think Jacob was supposed to help Solo continue to try and take out Cody, but because he was injured, he couldn't do anything. So he was just like, "You gotta go, man! You gotta go." He sold
yeah.
it really well. If it was legit, like
Oh,
he didn't
very.
yeah, he didn't curl up and just be like, "I'm screwed." He
Yeah.
he did a good job of staying in character. But that to me, that's what it feels like. It feels like Jacob was supposed to do something. I still find it very strange that the Usos were not involved at all, but it doesn't appear like that was the plan. So
Or at least Jimmy, since Jimmy's a
yeah,
SmackDown
yeah, and
performer.
with Jay teaming up with Sammy on Raw now, I guess they're gonna wait to bring Jay in till at least after the next pay per view. I mean, they've got some time before Survivor Series when the inevitable Bloodline versus
Yeah.
Bloodline match happens. But yeah, where's Jimmy? I mean, they could save Jimmy for later, or maybe
I
he'll
mean,
appear on SmackDown. Who knows?
and it is SummerSlam, and I mean that's where you want your big return, and obviously your big return is Roman. Jimmy can come back on SmackDown.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Jimmy
You
can
make a
come
good
back on a
point.
SmackDown versus a big SummerSlam when that's going to be a big return.
Never even thought about that. That makes total sense because yeah, Jimmy was a heel as well, and for everybody to assume that he's a good guy now, and take that for
Yeah.
legit value. They'll probably want to set that up by Roman talking like, I've got family too. You're not the only ones in the bloodline. Something like,
Yeah.
whatever they want to use to hint at Jimmy coming back. No Paul though either.
No Paul.
I
That's
thought he
kind of
would have been
surprising
there.
that he would be the one to bring back Roman.
Yeah, yeah. I would
Although,
have thought he would have been walking to the. I was expecting when his music hit, Paul Heyman would have came out first and then
yeah.
been like, see, would have given him that classic evil Paul smile, and then referenced back to the entrance, and then Roman comes out. That's what I was expecting, but Roman comes out alone, just like almost smash you.
Now,
Um,
supposedly Roman's going to be on SmackDown on Friday. We'll see if Paul
yes.
comes back on Friday with Roman
Mhm.
then.
Yeah. Yeah. If he doesn't show up then that's really weird. I don't know what that means. Because they were playing up that story of Paul worshiping Roman, and you're
Yes.
not my tribal chief, all that
Yeah.
stuff. So yeah, I definitely miss Paul. He's so
And
good.
and there's no way that they would have done that to completely write him off TV for good, because he's
No,
such a big part of that. Such a big part of that story.
and I don't see Paul retiring for a long time.
No, no,
He
no.
loves it. He just loves
Ever.
it too much.
Yep.
He's just in it. He's in it to stay. Well, I mean, he's
Yep.
at least in it to stay until Roman's gone. I don't know whether he'll continue after that, but you never know. He might. If anything, I can see Paul doing backstage, work with like
Oh,
NXT
yeah. Oh,
and
yeah, yeah,
stuff.
yeah. 100%.
So anyway, Cody wins, and that was the final match. What would you give that match? Scale of 1 to 10.
7. It was good. It was really good. You got your big return at the end. As far as the match itself, well, yeah, I mean, you can consider that return part of the match. The Roman return part of the match. So I'll give it an 8 instead of a 7.
Well, I was in agreement with you, but now I'm not. 7 is what I'm giving it as well. It was, like I said, it wasn't about the match. It was about the
Yeah,
event of the match,
but
and I don't
the
think they
event,
succeeded. What's
but
that?
the event was, but the event was part of the match. It wasn't after match.
Yes, this is very true.
So that's why I give
I
it an
don't. I don't think they convinced me in the same way that Liv and Rhea did in their match, that the match itself was important. You know, like I
8.
believed
Yeah,
that Liv could win legitimately in that match. Where in this match, I still didn't think that Solo would have any prayer of beating Cody. So in that sense, I think it failed, but it's still
that's
entertaining as
fair.
hell.
Yep.
Gets the 7. So at the end of it all, our point totals were 28 me, 21 you. Clean sweep.
Clean sweep for you.
Clean sweep. I am the inaugural, I guess, Wrestling Renaissance predictions champion. I have a belt down here below my video.
Yeah.
Don't at the
Now I
moment.
will. I will say that I originally had those two correct
Hmm.
before our show, but I changed it because I had too many title changes.
Yeah, let's talk about that for
I
a second
predicted
before we,
too
we
many title
conclude.
changes.
Holy title changes. That's
Yeah.
crazy. So
You
we
almost
had
never see that many title changes on one show, especially for a show that has 7 matches.
yeah, new world champion, new women's champion, new United States champion, and new intercontinental champion.
Yep.
4 out of 6 championships changed in one night. The landscape has changed, as they say, in the wrestling biz. Yeah, crazy. But I will say that if this is sort of Triple H's mantra moving forward, as far as this is how he books, where he books half and half of the year, you know what I mean? So like after WrestleMania, it's booked up to SummerSlam. SummerSlam is the mini WrestleMania, which is always the way it should have been, and it really has never been that way, or at least not
No,
for a very long time. They've always kind of treated SummerSlam as like it is supposed to be the big halfway pay per view, but it's never really felt that way in terms of storytelling. Most of the
just
time, SummerSlam's been like put
the
together in
All-Star
the
game.
last month. What's that?
Just like the All-Star game.
Yeah, where they're
Kind of
just
like a
like, yeah,
halfway
we
through
gotta
the
put
season.
up the big names, put them in
Yeah.
marquee matches. Doesn't matter if there's no history there, just put them in there. But Triple H seems to want to, you know, half the year build up to SummerSlam, and then the second half is build up to WrestleMania.
Especially
If that's
now
what,
that starting next year, it's going to be 2 nights.
that's right. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So even next year will be even more of that type of thought process. If that's his philosophy, I'm all for it, man. That is brilliant. That is actual booking. Sorry, Vince. Sorry.
And Tony.
And Tony. Tony's not a booker. Tony's an indie. Sorry.
Yeah.
He's an indie booker. Yeah, holy crap, man. Triple H, you're killing it. I don't know if it's just you. I'm sure it's not. I'm sure there's obviously a whole bunch of writers and planners working with you, but whoever's on that team, you know
Yep.
what you're doing, man.
Yeah.
You're killing it right now. Oh, one thing I also wanted to note was the viewership for Monday Night Raw came out before we recorded this, and it is the highest viewed Raw since 2019 at
Oh,
1.7 million viewers.
against the Olympics
Yeah, yeah, killed it. They're killing it.
on a channel here in the States that it is not normally on.
Yeah, it was on Sci-Fi.
It was on Sci-Fi, yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
They're just like, no, we're not going to put it on the normal channel. We'll put it on some other channel. Well, I'm
Yeah.
sure people will find it.
Because
Normally, a recipe for disaster.
they put it on Sci-Fi because of the Olympics. So but that also talks that also speaks to how well they promoted it being on that channel,
And
as
just how
well as
smart they've
obviously the
been.
booking.
Yeah, man, whatever's changed over there, and whatever they're doing, it's working. They're
Yep.
killing it.
Logic. It's logic and common sense.
Yeah, it's logic,
Something
it's
that
common sense, it's actual storytelling, it's booking more than you know a week in advance. This is why WWE sucked for so long, because there was no vision. It was Vince in his toy box instead of a TV show.
and a lot of people that had been there for a long time talked about how way in the beginning they said, this is what we want to do at WrestleMania. How do we get there?
Hmm.
And at some point that changed to where it was week to week. And now Triple H is doing that to where, at SummerSlam, he knew he wanted this. How do we get there? And let's book it that way.
Exactly. And now,
Booking in reverse.
yep. And now he's doing the same thing. He's like, all right, it's time for the build up to WrestleMania. Let's what are we doing here, guys? Or it could even be that you know. See, here's the weird thing is that they don't really have there is the big four, right? But they're oddly placed for me. SummerSlam is supposed to be the halfway point, but then the other two of the big four are after it. Survivor Series is technically the halfway point in the wrestling year, but SummerSlam is kind of considered the actual halfway point.
And then
Yeah,
it's only 2 months between the second one, Survivor Series, and the third
and
one,
Royal
Royal
Rumble.
Rumble.
Yeah, very very odd. I don't. There must be a reason that they do that. I don't know whether it's. I mean, it's what month? So we got April for WrestleMania usually, or late March. We've got end of July, early August for SummerSlam. November, I think, for Survivor Series,
Yep.
and then Royal Rumble is February.
I think when they first started doing them as pay-per-views, 35 years
Mhm.
ago, they did them when they did them as a way to counter what NWA or WCW was doing at the time. Whether it
Right.
was Starrcade with Royal Rumble, I think. I think Starrcade was in
Oh,
January
I see what you
around that
mean.
time, and
Yeah,
they had another one that was during Thanksgiving, so they did Survivor Series to counter that,
and they've just never changed it.
and they just never changed it.
That's interesting. I mean, it makes sense that SummerSlam should probably be a big one because it's in the best time of year to have like an outdoor event. One thing I
Depending
can
on where it
pretty
is,
much
because it's hot. Because it's
yeah,
hot and
one thing
muggy.
I can guarantee you they're never going to do again is have a outdoor arena in April again. Or
At
like
least
you know what I
not
mean?
not one without a roof.
Yeah, not one without a roof. That was bad.
That
I
was
rewatched WrestleMania 40 recently just to kind of get a second opinion on it because I had watched it live and thought it was fantastic. But my initial impression was that night two was 10 times better than night one, and attributed it to the crowd being fucking frozen
and
because they just couldn't
and
handle it.
was it 21? Yeah, 2021. They had the one in Tampa that had a rain delay
Oh yeah,
because of the rain.
the end of pandemic one, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
with
yeah,
the infamous picture of Samoa Joe on commentary wearing a poncho
yes, I
with
remember
Michael
that.
Cole. Yeah.
That's right. And then in this WrestleMania, they had Corey Graves in this giant black trench coat because he was so freaking cold, and and Cole had it on a toque. Oh my
Yep.
goodness, yeah. The guys, you can't make that mistake again. That really must have sucked
Yep.
for the wrestlers, for the crew, for everyone involved. No more outdoor WrestleManias. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I think the outdoor WrestleMania is good if it's below a certain point on the on
It
the
was like
latitude or longitude. You
it's
know,
like Super Bowls. They're not going to do Super Bowls in cold
Toronto.
weather cities in the first
Yeah,
weekend in February with no
yeah,
roof.
yeah. Bad idea. Bad
Yeah.
idea. I do like WrestleManias. The one thing I was disappointed at WrestleMania 40, as long as we're on that topic, is they didn't do any fireworks. I don't know whether it was because it was too cold and they did pyro, like they did stage
Okay.
pyro, but they didn't do
Okay.
the fireworks like they normally do at the outdoor events.
Okay. I don't
And
remember
I was
that.
like, huh, that was weird. Yeah, I don't know if they had that in plan and there was like maybe below a certain temperature, it's unsafe to do that. I don't know. But I thought it was weird. I was like, holy crap, you could have had some sick fireworks for like Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns and The Rock and like but they didn't. I thought the pyro job in general on WrestleMania 40 was kind of wasn't amazing. I've seen some
Yeah.
amazing pyro at WrestleMania, like WrestleMania 23. If you go back and watch the pyro at that WrestleMania, holy crap! Whoever did that WrestleMania's pyro, geniuses.
Yep.
So good. 26 was great too. But anyway, we're getting off topic. Yeah, SummerSlam, fantastic. Raw was equally fantastic.
It was.
Can't wait for the next pay per view. So, looking at our schedule, I put up. I don't know if you saw, but I put up a schedule in our server there to
Yep.
show when the next pay per views are coming, and if they're close enough together, we'll do two on our prediction show and two for our post show, just to
Yep.
not have to do four shows in 2 weeks. So the next episode of Wrestling Renaissance will be at the end of August, last couple weeks of August, for AEW All In and
Yep.
WWE Bash in
Bash
Berlin.
in Berlin.
Yeah, they're only 6 days apart, so we'll do a. Oh man, that's gonna make doing the predictions for Bash in Berlin slightly more challenging. I didn't think about that.
And 7 days after that, all out.
Yeah, and then 7 days after that, we got all this. We have a lot to record in those few weeks there. Let me just look real quick. August, so 25th is a Sunday. Yeah, so
Oh, a Sunday pay-per-view? Yuck.
yeah, AEW's still all about the Sundays. Yeah, so that week it starts with the Sunday AEW pay per view and then ends on the Saturday with the WWE pay per view. Although the WWE pay per view is in Germany, so it's probably going to be on at like 1 o'clock our time.
1, 2 o'clock.
Yeah, something early, which actually I like. I'm not gonna lie, I
I
like
do
those.
like that. Yeah.
I'm like, I get to watch WrestleMania and not go to bed right away. Cool.
Yeah. Or I don't have to worry about, am I going to fall asleep during the match?
Yeah, be wide awake.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like that idea. It's really cool. But yeah, I guess we're just gonna have to do predictions for Bash in Berlin without the last week of TV.
Or we can do a
Unfortunately.
results and prediction show in the same one.
That's actually not a bad idea. I think I like that better. Yeah.
Make
Okay.
some coffee.
Yeah. It'll still be long, but not as long as 2 predictions. Okay. Yeah, I like that. Let's do that. So the next show will just be a AEW All In prediction show. Uh, somewhere around the 22nd. We'll see. But
And
until then,
and you know they're going to have probably 15 matches, so that's going to be a long
oh
show in
god,
itself.
oh man, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
So basically, all of our AEW shows are going to be like twice as long as our WWE ones. Oh, I didn't think about that. Crap. Yeah, and that's their big London show too. So I'm sure it's going to be
Yes.
packed with 1,000 matches.
Yep.
We are not going to talk about the pre-show matches. I'm just gonna cap that off right now, because if we did that and the main card,
Yep.
it would be a 4-hour show.
Yep.
All right, enough jabbering. Did you have anything else you wanted to say about SummerSlam before we sign off?
SummerSlam, overall,
or Raw?
I'd probably give it rating 7. Just a little too much shenanigans, a little too much interference. I know when you cover the match, or when we cover the match, the only match that you said you're not sure where it's going from here with the competitors was ironically the only one where there was no interference.
Well,
It was
clean
Braun
win.
and Sammy. Yep, or it was clean. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
It's because that's the only one that there was a true end to that story.
Interesting. That's a good call. Yeah. So, basically every other story has got an obvious path forward.
Yep. It was not the end of whatever that story was.
Yeah.
So,
that's a good point.
Which is good. I mean, which is a good thing. But like I said, to me, it was just a little too much shenanigans from outside help. Not necessarily someone cheating to win to where it wasn't clean finish, but it was, help from outside. And I didn't like that 2 matches were split, were turns from the Judgment Day, that they basically just obliterated that, obliterated those 2 up from the faction.
We didn't talk about that. That followed on Raw. I'm not sure if you saw it. So Priest called out Finn Balor on Raw, and Finn didn't come out, but he did a via the backstage camera speech, which was very good, by the way.
It was.
This is going to be controversial for certain people, but I have thought that Finn Balor has done nothing of interest to me, and fell well short of the hype that was surrounding him coming into WWE. I liked the demon gimmick in NXT, but once he got to WWE the main roster, I was kind of like, that's it. He didn't live up to the hype. I think he seems like a much better heel than he is a face.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I didn't know of him before WWE or NXT. I know in New Japan he was like the original leader of the Bullet Club, which obviously was a heel faction. And, from what I hear and what I've gone back to see, he did really good with that. So he's definitely better off promo wise, story wise, character wise as a heel.
Someone had pointed out to me that it's very interesting that Finn's Judgment Day story initially. Finn he screwed over Edge to become the leader of Judgment Day. And then Rhea kind of took over as the leader. And then Damian kind of took over as the leader. And now Finn is basically screwed over both of them. And now he's the leader again. It's like full circle. He's all the way back. So that's pretty interesting. But I'm interested to see where the Judgment Day faction in general goes from here. Clearly, they're going to continue their feud with Damian and Rhea. But what does it look like after that? That's kind of what I'm wondering. Anyway, This has been Wrestling Renaissance, the post show for SummerSlam 2024. I am your predictions champion for now. Beginner's luck, trust me, because I also won the Wrestling Nation Zone predictions as well.
You
So
did. You won that one
I'm
too.
pretty sure it's beginner's luck. I will not hold this this title for very long. I can assure you. Especially when it comes to AEW. I don't know how much of a fan of AEW you are compared to WWE, but like I only watch the pay-per-views. So
Yeah. I
up to
kind of
you.
keep up with it. I don't, I'm not religious about it. It's more background noise if I have it on.
It used to be more important to me, but it's definitely fallen off for
There's things I
reasons.
like. There's things I enjoy about it. But
Yeah, same. There's bits and pieces, but yeah, overall AEW needs help. But we'll talk about it on the next show. That is AEW centric. So yes, this has been episode 2 of Wrestling Renaissance. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.